This is Michael Popok, Legal AF After Dark. Ever since the Supreme Court right wing took away a woman's right to choose last summer in the Dobbs decision, right to choice and right to a woman's bodily autonomy, advocates have been trying to figure out ways at the state level to enshrine that right in state constitutions. And what does it bode for the 2024 election and re-election bid by President Joe Biden? We had two examples of it just recently. We had Virginia going all blue, including flipping one of their state houses to stop Governor Lumpkin, whatever his name is, from imposing his abortion restriction laws. And then in Ohio, we have a new constitutional amendment that's now changed life for women in Ohio and in other places by allowing the right to choose. We talk about it on Legal AF, the leading podcast at the intersection of law and politics, just this past episode. Take a listen. Good news is that if we don't like what the Supreme Court does in terms of federal constitutional rights and laws, we, the people, have the right to change it at the ballot box, state by state, pursuant to our own individual state constitutions. And that is the angle of attack that abortion rights, right to choose advocates are using in all of the states, wherever they can get it, in 2023 and coming up in 2024 for the election. And the good news is we just saw two really amazing wins. In Virginia, Youngkin, who was touted to be a presidential candidate even this year, for 2024, just got his head handed to him. And both houses, the whatever they call the assembly there, and the Senate in Virginia, went totally blue. They flipped one of the houses. They flipped the assembly. And now whatever Youngkin was on his legislative agenda is over. Here's some very happy, celebratory people there on getting that to happen. And he had on his desk, just waiting for him to get the numbers and have Republicans in control, he was ready to pass a 15-week, what they like to call the kinder, gentler abortion ban at 15 weeks with an exception for incest and rape. But that's not what the right to choose and Democrats really want as part of the right, a woman's right. So he's now not going to be able to shove that down their throat at all. And the women are back in the driver's seat in Virginia. Ohio took it one step further. They actually had a constitutional amendment on the ballot, along with one about weed and marijuana. I love the pairing of that. Both of those won, by the way. So issue one, which is how it was framed in Ohio, is a constitutional, now enshrined in the Constitution of Ohio, a woman's right to choose up to 24 weeks to have an abortion. It currently was 22 weeks. They even bumped it up to 24 weeks, which is even beyond Roe versus Wade. So that is a tremendous win and a blueprint and a roadmap for what these advocates will do. And it was such a powerful, galvanizing policy and vote that it drew so many Democrats to the polls to win this by overwhelming numbers. It wasn't even close. It was a 7-point victory for women's rights and for democratic ideals. So smartly, the abortion rights activists are putting these things on the ballot for major battleground states. I don't want to say to help Joe Biden, because it's important independently that these things occur. But what did you think about it? Just give it to, I'll shut up. Give it to me from your perspective. And then what do you think it will do as to help the Democrats and Joe Biden in 2024, even if people are holding their nose for some reason about Joe Biden, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. What will this, in your view, be enough to get people to go to the polls, and while they're there, by the way, vote for Joe Biden?
This issue, at first blush seems like, a major victory for abortion rights. and it's going to be in the Ohio Constitution. And this means abortion is protected for all time in Ohio. But I want people to not get too comfortable because, yes, that is true. And it will be great for Democrats. Hopefully, if the Republicans continue to push on this, hopefully that'll push people over to the Democrats come 2024 who are on the fence. But the reason I'm hesitant is there's still a lot of nonsense and mischievous stuff that the Republicans and the pro-life anti-abortion crew can do in places like Ohio. For example, they can still, there are laws in the books right now in Ohio, in addition to the 6-week abortion ban that will obviously be now unconstitutional under their law. But there's all sorts of other laws on the books in Ohio, like parental consent is required for minors. Okay. Some people might think that's reasonable. However, there's also laws about who can perform the abortion. It has to be a doctor. What kind of facility? You have to have a facility that's licensed and that's affiliated with a hospital. Well, what if a clinic is not that close to a hospital? And what you must have informed consent. You must just all that kind of stuff. Who are the ones who can dispense abortion meds? Can it be a physician's assistant, for example, or only a doctor? So the Ohio considers abortion clinics to be like ambulatory surgical centers, and therefore they already are highly regulated, but they could still make it really difficult for women to be able to have access to abortion or to abortion pills. And so this is something that you can't ever let your guard down, because they can make a lot of mischief, and they're going to have to clean up some of these laws, I think, in order to really increase the access. But I do think it's incredibly hopeful. And I think it's going to look, women, I think at the end of the day, you can't take away women's rights without consequence, and women are going to come out and they're going to support that, and they're going to make sure that the crazy right extremists don't go too far, even if they're right leaning. And what does it mean for Democrats and Joe Biden? It's tricky. I spend a lot of time talking to close friends, close family, and even among very liberal Democrats, Joe Biden is just not popular, and most people think he's too old to run, and he doesn't have the stamina, and he's just too old. And other people, they really just think the economy is, in their pocketbook, in their wallet, they feel like they're not better off. And that at the end of the day, I don't think that Joe Biden, I think he's going to, he can't do anything about the age, the economy, hopefully he'll focus on. But I think we have to stop just looking at polls and saying, oh my God, there was a poll that came out the day before the elections. Basically, it seemed like it was going to be a red wave, on election day, but it wasn't. So I think we can get used to the fact that people might not love Joe Biden and might not even like him, but that doesn't mean they won't vote for him ultimately, right? That doesn't mean at the end of the day, when it's just you in the ballot box and you're thinking about what to check, I think people are going to think long and hard picking Trump. I don't know how anyone in with a conscience actually is going to be able to vote for him, whether you like Biden or not. But I do think people are a little disheartened that that's all we have are these two, and I love Joe Biden, don't get me wrong, but I think people would love to have someone younger and someone who, isn't in their 80s. Trump as well will be well into his 80s if he were to win, the presidency. So it just seems kind of strange that this is the best we have in this country. And I think people are feeling that. But I do think that when you look at the results of the election, you look at the abortion, the way people came out for abortion, I do think people have had enough. And the right wing has just gone way too far. And the Dobbs decision as tragic and horrific as it was, I think has done a decent job at propelling Democrats in various elections, because I think people can see how dangerous some of the extreme right wing Republicans are. So I think that's where we are. But a lot still has to be done in places like Ohio to make sure that women have access to this medical care.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm encouraged by it, and I think it's going to be a good wedge issue that the Democrats can use to their advantage. I'm hand-wringing about Joe Biden has to stop. Just like the hand-wringing over Hillary Clinton led to Donald Trump, which led to a supermajority on the Supreme Court taking away a woman's rights to choose. At a certain point, the Democrats have to stop with the hand-wringing, have to stop with the hold their nose and vote for the only person that's on the ballot that has a D next to their name that happens to be the incumbent president. And it's a fun parlor game to talk about what if and I wish, and maybe there was somebody else, and what about Gretchen Whitmer, what about Gavin Newsom, and if Kamala was stronger. But we got to stop with the parlor games, because we're talking about real life consequences here. And as I told people back in the day with Hillary Clinton, I don't care whether you like her or not. I don't care whether you want to have a beer with Hillary Clinton. The choice for me then was clear, and it is clear now. You either vote for the Democrat and hope that the Supreme Court, we have a few openings there to kind of change its composition, but certainly don't make it any worse, and avoid the restoration of Donald Trump in every way that I mean that, including a retaliatory president that uses the Department of Justice and weaponizes it and hollows out all other agencies that we care about.
Well, that's an example of what we do every week, twice a week, only on the MeidasTouch network, exclusively here on this YouTube channel, and then on audio podcast platforms wherever you get your audio podcast from. We do about 4 or 5 stories just like that, and we, the leaders of Legal AF, bring our collective legal experience of over 75 years to bear on these issues. We analyze them, we debate them, we agree, sometimes we disagree, but it's all in pursuit of justice, law, and politics. We don't blow smoke or sunshine on this network, nor on this podcast. So join us every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Legal AF. If you know about us, welcome back. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm Michael Popok, one of the co-anchors and co-founders of Legal AF. And that was an example. Come join us on the next round of podcasts. And if you know about us and you want some friends to join, send them that clip. It'll help with the movement. And join the MeidasTouch YouTube network. Free subscribe. Help them get to 2 million. Until my next Legal AF, until my next hot take, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.